All right, so we are moving on to another hot topic, something I've recently started. If you follow me on social media, the science behind an ice bath.
You're
or
doing so
cold
good.
Plunging.
You're doing so good. I'm so happy for you.
Oh my goodness, you guys, it's cold. That doesn't go away.
So I'm going to tell Morgan's cold plunge story, and I will do my best to depict the first 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks now, with the most poise I can.
I would say it's only been, it's been a couple weeks. Yeah.
So the first time Morgan gets in, like this is going to sound like I'm making fun of you for the first part until I get to the end.
There's a lot of hang with me.
It's going to sound like I'm making fun because I am.
So, I of course, I'm like, you have 3 minutes, mentally tough, just jump in, you can do it. And she's like, dude, if you don't let me go at my own pace, like I'm not just get it, like stop. So I read the message right away. And so she gets in and she jumps in and it's just like a cartoon, just like chattering her teeth, shivering. Yeah, you did. We have a video. I have video, by the way. This is so true. And it's 24 seconds. That was the first one. And you were proud of yourself. We got out. We high-fived. It was great. The next time you get in, it was like 29 seconds and you were more calm. And then the next time you get in, it's like 35 seconds and you were more calm. And by the end of week 2, you're not fully acclimated because it's impossible to get fully acclimated to 42-degree water, but it takes your breath away and you were breathing through it and you were just like your mind, I was watching your mind become more resilient in real time, and you sat in that water for 1 minute and your toes are numb, but your mind is not letting
calmer.
Yeah, but like so dramatically different from just the first to like the 7th or 8th time that you jumped in. And so I'm proud of you for that because it is hard stuff. There's people that look at that like, I'm never going in that. And I think probably 5 years ago, you were somebody that might have said something along those lines. And the way you attacked it, the way like you approach that is how you approach everything in your life. And, you just, regardless of the time, regardless of what other people were doing, you just got in and said, I'm just going to get a little bit better. And I'm going to have a little bit more control over myself every time. And within 7 times, you're like a pro. I mean, you're sitting in for 2 minutes now, just chilling. So,
does it feel like you're just chilling?
No.
Feels like your toes are about to fall off.
Yeah, no, it's challenging. And, the seed got planted for me. We went to Hawaii in 2023 for a friend's birthday. And the spa there had like the sauna, a hot tub, a cold plunge. And I would just watch these like women walk in there and like sit in there for 2 minutes and I couldn't even do it for 10. And there's something about like, just like when you can't do something, I don't know, it motivates me, right? So there's some things I have no desire, like running a marathon. Like I'm good. You guys do that, I'm good. But for some reason, this cold plunge. And then Devan, he's like, yeah, I did it like for 7 minutes. And I'm like, how do you get in there for 7 minutes?
Just like,
let's be
correct
10?
because that's not healthy to go for 7 minutes.
Maybe
so
that's an exaggeration.
The most I've ever gone for is for like 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, the seed was planted like 6 months ago, and then it just was in my head. And then I watched you cold plunge, and I was like, this is a new challenge. I want to talk about the health benefits for sure. I am doing it more for the mental challenge and the physical challenge, but I want to start to put my mind in an uncomfortable state and then continue to work through that, because as a leader of a company, I'm constantly put in uncomfortable situations, and I want to be calm in those situations, and I need to train my brain to do that. And I think this is just one mechanism for me. So that's my why. But I know there's health benefits. Bryce, you're also a fellow cold plunger.
Yes,
so.
I am. Do you want to know about the science?
I do.
Based on the Mayo Clinic?
Yes.
So as cold plungers, we may be a little disappointed by this initial sentence here, because it says, so does the science of cryotherapy live up to the hype? For the most part, no. Okay, so, Morg, this adventure that we're on right now is not currently backed up by extensive studies. There were some studies that have been done that basically says they did a small study on a group of people in an office where some people were exposed to the cold and some people were not. And the people who were exposed to cryotherapy took 29% less sick days. So they're starting to have some evidence that's saying, hey, as far as your immune system, there is some science to back that up. And then they're also showing that, in terms of obviously in the rice formula, right? The I is ice. So there's obviously some recovery benefits. But as far as right now, what some of the most avid cold plungers out there, I mean, you listen to any podcast that is health and wellness, this topic will be covered. And they're just saying that right now, the science and the studies have not caught up to what people are feeling when they do what we're doing. Right. And I think that's been my experience as I've wanted to challenge myself. This isn't easy to do. So I'm going to put myself in a position to do this every day. And then also, look, I do feel better. I'm able to be an expert in how do I feel when I don't do this and how do I feel when I do this. Yeah. I don't know. I don't care what the studies say. I care how I feel. And so, I'm going to say that my prediction is, as this is studied more, that there is going to be more that comes out saying, there are a lot more benefits to it. I just think it's relatively new and it probably takes some time to, get the studies going and also set up correctly, right? And be able to monitor it for long enough. So that's just my mostly uneducated opinion because I've not, haven't dove into pages and pages of this research, but I know how I feel. I know how you guys feel.
I get like a natural energy after I do it, like throughout the day, which I'm not really sure, again, the science behind that. Maybe one of you guys do, but I can tell that like I have different energy levels. And so.
You said cryotherapy. Is that cover cold water immersion or is that true cryotherapy with?
So where they're saying, their definition of cryotherapy is ice application, cold showers, cold water immersion, and whole body cryotherapy. So they're using cryotherapy in like terms of cold exposure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to an Andrew Huberman podcast on the Huberman Lab, and he was talking about this, and all of his science was around the mental resiliency benefits of it. And Morgan and I talked about that, and that's it for me. Like, it could very well be a placebo effect that I feel better. I do feel better. I also am a rationalist, and when there's data that's in front of me, I tend to listen to it. I'm always open to changing my mind for sure. But I'm not one to, argue with that. So it could very well be just the placebo effect from thinking that you're doing something good for you, and then therefore it probably lowers your core body temperature. I could feel that. I went after cold plunge yesterday, I went to the dentist office to get my teeth cleaned, and I'm sitting in the dentist office and I'm shivering, I'm freezing, and I'm like, lady, it's cold in here. And she's like, really? I'm kind of hot. So like it clearly was me. Nobody else was cold. Everybody was chill. I'm just sitting here like freezing. And, so I think definitely there's some body temperature, something with the body temperature going on there. I feel more cold, but bees, you're like naturally cold. So I feel like if you jumped in a cold plunge, you might just turn into an ice crystal.
Sounds like my living nightmare. I'm freezing all the time. And what you just said, your experience at the dentist office, I feel like is my entire experience with you, my whole life. He's like, stop thinking about being cold. I'm like, I can't. Yeah. But no, I can see that a ton of people have a ton of benefits from these cold plunges. I'm going to have to figure out some other way to gain my mental strength. I think it's going to be through burn workouts. But obviously there's got to be a reduction in inflammation with these cold plunges. I mean, the eye in rice, that's what it's for. So I can see huge benefits. I actually have something called Raynaud syndrome, where the smaller vessels in your hands and your feet constrict extremely faster when cold temperatures are introduced. So something that's just not for me. I'll turn my shower on cold for like the last minute that I'm in there. That's going to be my cold plunge. But just because it's not for me doesn't mean that other people aren't having huge benefits from it. So I'm kind of jealous that you guys get to do this. Definitely not going to be in something I'm going to put into my routine. Yeah.
Well, I think, cold plunging too is also pretty inaccessible for most people. I mean, the one we have is it's like you could finance it for like $110 a month or something, or buy it for like $4,000. It's a lot of money. And, most people don't also have room to put an extra tub. Like, where are you going to put it, in the middle of your living room, or your bedroom or something? So when we talk about cold showers, I'm a huge fan of that because it's to me, and apparently to the Mayo Clinic as well, the benefits mostly reside in your mind and the resiliency that comes from it. It's just like, it's the same as a burn workout or anything that has a demanding training element to it. It's like, you just don't want to do it, but you make yourself do it anyway. And then your mind says, oh, okay, I guess we can do hard things. You just become a person that can do hard things. And to me, that's what Morgan's journey is. That's what it's been so far, is she's got better at doing hard things.
Yeah.
I feel really proud of your 29 seconds because I think it would last me 3 and I would jump out like a cat dropped in the water.
If you took her route, it'd be 3, then 7 seconds, and then 12 seconds, and you'd be good. But it does say, so when it talks about mental benefits of ice baths, this is where they'll touch on smaller studies. So it'll say, based on one small study of 33 adults, a 5-minute dip in cold water boosted feelings of alertness and attentiveness, and decreased perceived distress and anxiety. And then it touches on another small study. And so you're kind of seeing these small studies being cited, but it almost seems as if there hasn't been maybe large enough studies or, ones that are set up. I'm not sure the whole science world where, publications like the Mayo Clinic would be able to point to this study that is directly saying that here's this benefit. And that's a little bit of why my prediction is these types of studies will continue to happen and get bigger and bigger and set up to, to learn a little bit more about it. And I just think there's a lot of times where humans experience it. You kind of know it based on how you're feeling, and then the research catches up. And that's my gut feeling on this.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I know a lot about how the scientific community operates. And so obviously you have a hypothesis and then you go test your hypothesis or some theory that you have, and then you go run a study and set up controls to actually test it. Well, then in order for me or somebody that actually values the data to take it seriously, it's got to be third party, meaning you and your company didn't sponsor some type of premeditated outcome, because if we can pick out facts for anything and we can present those facts as if they're true. So it's third party and then peer reviewed. And that's the important piece, because in the scientific community, everyone wants to be the person that makes the breakthrough, and everyone else hates the person that made the breakthrough. That's just how it works. So there's a baked in incentive for researchers to debunk the theory. So if we run a study and we have a hypothesis and we have a theory that cold plunging, has, you're going to live 12 years longer on average if you cold plunge 3 times a week or something like that. Well, then there's going to be people out there that actually go run another scientific analysis, another test that have the opposite theory, but they run the same test with similar controls, and then they get the same outcome as you got. Now that's peer reviewed. And now once that starts happening in, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the scientific circles, then it's considered empirical science, because there were people that were trying to prove you wrong that couldn't.
Boom.